everyone, welcome to your posture workshop. This is the first time I've done a video like this and I'm really excited about it. Last month I got a request for a workout focused on posture and I started to put it together, and then I thought, this is really worth a larger discussion. And that's because technically posture refers to the entire body. It's all connected. So if I were meeting with a client for the first time, the first thing I would do is a postural analysis. And that analysis starts from the feet and then works all the way up to the head, because it is all connected. A good example of that is if you've ever had a foot injury or just sprained your ankle, you'll notice that after a couple days walking favoring one side, even though it's your foot that has the injury, you're compensating, so then your hip on the other side starts bothering you. And then because that hip is bothering you, you're tight through your low back. It sets off this sort of chain reaction of compensations all the way up the chain. So posture refers to the whole body, but if we discuss the whole body, this would be an 8-hour long video, and I'm not going to subject you to that. So backing up a little bit, what we are going to focus on today is, I think, what most people first think of when you hear the term bad posture. And after this intro, I will explain why we're not going to use the word bad anymore, but just so that you know what I'm talking about. And what that is, I think, for most of us, because we spend so much time over technology, is rounded upper back with forward shoulders and then a forward neck. So this sort of rounded hunched position with the neck forward. It's not your fault if your spine looks like that. It is just a product of the world we're living in now. So what to expect from today? We're going to start with a discussion. We will go over neutral spine, that sort of rounded position, and then we'll discuss what we can do to help support our spine and neck, not necessarily changing the positioning of our bones completely, but strengthening certain muscles, trying to get others to chill the hell out. And then after that discussion, we will go into a workout. For that workout, you are going to need two things. First, a dish towel. We'll use it two ways. First way, I'm going to show you how to use it as padding, and then we will also have it long, and we'll just grab it by the ends for one section of the class. Second thing you'll need, a set of light hand weights. If you don't have light hand weights, that's fine. You could use weighted balls, like if you have lacrosse balls or even pool balls. You could use soup cans, you could use water bottles, anything for a little added weight that you can grip. I'm using 2-pound weights. You don't even have to go that heavy. 1 pound is fine. The workout will kind of be a cross between a group fitness class that is fast paced and you're sort of flowing through the movements, and then a one-on-one session where I would kind of slow things down. We're basically in that workout going to apply everything we talked about in the discussion portion. And my goal is that that discussion portion not only helps you in the workout today, but in all workout classes that I post, because really every class is an opportunity to work on your posture, and you'll understand why, I think, as we go. So with all that said, grab a dish towel, some sort of light weights, whatever they are, household objects or actual hand weights, and let's get started. We're going to start our discussion today by talking about neutral. You hear that term used by fitness instructors all the time. What does neutral mean? So neutral is the positioning of the bones in the body that is most ideal for shock absorption. So in other words, what alignment of the bones in your body is most functional for moving around against gravity all day? For the sake of this class, because we're really going to focus on the spine, let's just take a look at what a neutral spine looks like. You'll notice there are 3 soft curves. They're not exaggerated. There's a soft curve of the low back or the lumbar spine, and then a soft curve of the thoracic or mid back, and that goes the opposite direction as the lumbar. And then there's another third final soft curve of the upper spine, the cervical spine, that goes in the same direction as the lower back curve. So that is ideal, at least ideal for functioning against gravity. Now, right off the bat, let me say, very few people have a perfectly neutral spine. And if you do have a perfectly neutral spine, chances are some other joint or bone in the body is not neutral. That is completely normal and fine. So if your spine doesn't look like that picture of neutral, that's okay. It's not bad. We're going to stop referring to certain postures as good or bad. It's just telling you what your body could benefit from. It's showing you which muscles could probably use some strengthening, and which other muscles could use a little relaxing, which joints could use some mobility work. It's all just feedback and kind of showing you where you should go for a body that functions its best and, most importantly, feels its best. Now let's compare that neutral spine to the posture that we are going to focus on today, which is a kyphotic spine, or a kyphosis it's called. If you look at the comparison, you notice with the kyphosis, instead of that subtle thoracic or mid-back curve, it's very exaggerated. It is a big flexion of that mid-back. And then when it comes to the neck or the cervical spine, it's the opposite. Instead of having that soft curved back like in neutral, it is going straight forward. So we're not going to label this posture as bad. We're just going to look at what it's telling us. It's telling us that as far as the mid-back goes, we need to work on strengthening our spinal extensors, the ones that bring our spine out of that deep flexion. And then for the neck, the opposite is true. Our neck extensors are probably overworked and very short and tight, and we need to work on strengthening the neck flexors. And I will say, everyone could kind of benefit from that work. Even if your spine is pretty neutral, if you spend a lot of time on your phone, a tablet, or you work a desk job and you're at your computer all day, we could all benefit from a little bit of that work. Now, moving away from the spine, but not really, it's all connected again, also the shoulders. So if you are flexed forward from that mid-back, often the shoulders are rolled forward, which means your chest muscles are really tight. And if you're coming into exercises in this rolled forward position, it's really going to limit mobility through that shoulder joint. So that is another consideration, just more feedback we would get from observing that posture. So you may already have a pretty good idea of what your spine and shoulders and body look like from pictures or just from your daily habits. But I want to show you a way to know if you do have that kyphosis, or maybe if your spine is more neutral. So I want you to stand up. So for this exercise, you want to be able to see yourself from the side. So you really need to have someone take a picture of you or set up self-timer on your phone. If that's not an option for you right now though, then I still want you to do the exercise with me. You'll just observe me instead in my spine, and then we will all do the second part of the exercise together. So to determine the shape of your spine, if you have those neutral curves or maybe that kyphosis, we want to find our natural stance. And to do that, you're just going to march in place. And easier said than done, but you don't want to overthink it. All right, a couple more marches, and then I just want you to settle in to your stance. And so if you do have someone taking a picture, if you have self-timer going, this is what you would want to capture. Now, if you're not doing it for yourself, I want you to look at me. My posture has been something that I've personally been working on intensely for the last year, so it might not be as obvious, but I want you to see what the curves of my spine look like. Typically, I'm pretty neutral through the low back and the mid back, but you might notice my cervical spine, my neck, whoop, goes way forward. Text neck, it's sometimes called. Now, whether you're looking at me or you just took a picture of yourself and you're observing that, now I want us to focus our attention on our shoulders, so I'm just going to point forward. Now, I want you to look down and notice what direction your hands are facing. They might be facing in towards your body. It's rare, but they may be facing forward, or they may be facing behind you like mine are. If your palms are facing behind you, that is a sign that your shoulders might be a little rolled forward or hunched forward. So let's practicing opening up through that shoulder joint and getting it in a better, more functional alignment. So from this starting position with your palms facing back, we're going to roll the palms to face forward, but the motion starts from your shoulder, not your forearm. So you're not just twisting your wrist and your forearm. Initiate it with your shoulders. So you grow broader across your collarbones, you roll the shoulders back, then the elbows, then the forearms open. Notice how different this posture feels from the starting position. So now just relax it back, palms face behind you, shoulders can roll forward if that's where they go to start like mine do. Let's do that 3 more times. So roll open, start from the shoulder joint, broadness across the chest, then the palms reach. And relax. Twice more. Shoulders roll open and relax. Last time, it's like your collarbones grow longer. They push those shoulders back into a more neutral position, open up and relax. So that's a small, very simple exercise that you can kind of do throughout the day. Anytime you notice that you're kind of in a hunch position with your shoulders rolled forward, it feels good to just take that moment to open up and feel the difference. So our posture is a result of many things. Genetics, past injuries, but more than anything, it's lifestyle and just our daily habits and movement patterns. So because our posture is something that in some cases has taken a lifetime of habits to establish, we need to be patient with ourselves when we're working on correcting any muscle imbalances or postural imbalances. It's going to take time. And while this might sound a little out there, I think it's worth going there because it is a lifetime of habits. And in a way, your posture is a reflection of your life, or at least your lifestyle. It tells a story. Working on correcting certain postural things can be a very personal and even emotional experience. And you can roll your eyes if you want to, but I am going to take a second to tell my personal story with this. So I do not have neutral posture. Yes, I am a fitness instructor for a living, but I also edit all the videos that I shoot. So when I'm not physically active, I am at my computer for hours and hours a day. But even before technology became such a big part of everyone's life, I'm a tall girl and I have been tall since I was a child. And as an adult, I love being tall, but in middle school, it made me really self-conscious because I was taller than all the cute boys I had a crush on. So I would hunch. I had a lifetime of making myself smaller and trying to shrink down, and that caused rounding of my shoulders, the forward neck position. So it goes beyond computers for me. So fast forward away from middle school to today. In the past 5 years, especially since I've started doing more Pilates, I started to notice that anytime I was doing exercises in a prone position, laying on my stomach, that were requiring me to basically counter the posture I developed over the years, to open up through the chest, to strengthen the spinal erectors, I would become wildly uncomfortable. And not just physically, emotionally. All these feelings, anger, sadness, anxiety was a big one, would start bubbling up when I was doing exercises in a prone position. It was so uncomfortable for me. I just wanted to get the hell out of the position, onto the next exercise. I hated doing work like that. And I think there's something there. Emotions do have physical effects. And I really do think that the body stores not just physical experiences, but emotional experiences. So a posture, this rounded shoulder that for me in middle school was associated with maybe a lot of shame, just self-consciousness, is now being released by working to open up. And, you might not relate to this specific example. Maybe you're not rounded forward, but you might notice it when you work on other parts of the body. Maybe hip stretches cause emotions to bubble up, or spinal twists cause emotions to bubble up, where you're sort of releasing the low back. The point of this story is to, tell you to be patient with yourself as you are doing postural work, but also to encourage you to just really tune into how you feel when you do certain things. The more in touch with your body you are, the more effective all workouts become. I can't overstate how important that type of connection and body awareness is. And it's just something that I would really encourage you to explore. Now, before this turns into a motivational speech, let's move on. So now we've fully defined the type of posture we're focused on today, the rounded back forward neck position, and we've gone over what it is telling us about our body. Now, the fun part, what can we do about it? Where do we go from here? Let's talk about it. First up, changing your daily habits. which is maybe the most frustrating one. There are little things we can do, of course. If you sit at a computer all day, reminding yourself, open up through the chest, getting up and taking walking breaks, just being less sedentary in general. But we can only change our lifestyle to a certain extent, okay? And you're not going to do a complete overhaul. That is totally overwhelming. For example, if your postural imbalances are because you are a mom and you're leaning over to pick up your toddler every 5 seconds, then yes, we can talk about different lifting techniques, but are you going to just tell your kid to scram? No, you can't change everything. So instead of thinking of a total lifestyle overhaul, let's focus more on how we can add in more mobility where our body needs it, more strength where our body needs it, and more relaxation where our body needs it. Which leads me to my second big action item we can do, diaphragmatic breathing. And I was someone who I would always roll my eyes in yoga classes when the instructor was talking about breath. I'm like, what does it matter? I don't get the breathing thing. But I'm telling you guys, when it clicks, it is a game changer. Learning to breathe properly and utilizing your breath to maintain core control is a complete game changer. Now, it may not click for you today. Maybe we can do another workshop just on breathing, but I do want to spend some time talking about it. It's very important. So first off, diaphragmatic breathing can help relieve tension in your neck and shoulders. I notice a lot if I have clients who are tight up here, if I instruct them to take deep breaths, what happens? Their shoulders lift and lower. Your shoulders do not need to be doing that much work when you breathe. So it's a sign to me, if your shoulders lift and lower, that you're not breathing diaphragmatically. It's more of a shallow breath and it's kind of getting trapped up here in the sternum. When you instead relax through your upper body and breathe down into your entire diaphragm, what you're doing is you're connecting to your deep core muscles, the transverse abdominis, the internal obliques. These deep core muscles, their primary job is to stabilize. So with proper diaphragmatic breathing, you can actually notice a big improvement in your balance and stability when you're not just doing breathing exercises, doing any kind of exercise. So I'll verbally walk you through what we're going to do, and then we will practice diaphragmatic breathing. The inhale is going to be through the nose. And as you inhale and fill that abdominal cavity with air, we're focusing on expanding the rib cage, not just forward, but in a three-dimensional shape. So the ribs expand east to west. You also fill the space in your back as well. As you inhale, your pelvic floor is going to relax. So picture it like a little hammock, just sort of gently hanging at the base of your pelvis. Now, as you do that inhale, shoulders and neck are relaxed. They should not lift up towards your ears. The exhale is through your mouth and through kind of pursed lips, like you're blowing out a birthday candle, but very slowly. So this is what it would sound like. As you exhale, the ribs are going to move gently in and down. There's going to be a subtle lift of the pelvic floor. So on the inhale, if it was a hammock, now the curve just changes shape as you exhale. And very important, through the lower abdomen, you're going to think of a gentle engagement through your abdominal wall, so almost a widening. I don't want you to think of a sucking in. You hear that cue, draw your navel to your spine a lot. I don't want you to think that. When you think straight drawing in, that's more an action of your superficial abdominal muscles, the six-pack muscles, your rectus abdominis. And what we really want to activate with breathing are those deep stabilizer muscles. So it's just a widening, a gentle bracing of that abdominal wall, if you will. Now, I know I just gave you a lot of information. Don't try to think of all of it at once. We're just going to practice breathing. We'll do 5 together. So find a comfortable seated position. You're sitting upright. You might even close your eyes if you'd like. We're going to start with an inhale through the nose. And again, it's slow. So inhale. Fill up that rib cage, expand in all 3 dimensions. Now exhale out through the mouth slowly. Ribs move in and down, gentle widening of the lower abdominals, little lift through the pelvic floor. Again, inhale. Exhale. Again, inhale. Relax through the shoulders. Don't hike them up towards your ears. Exhale out. Gentle bracing through that abdominal wall. Ribs move gently in and down. Twice more. Inhale. Exhale. Last time. All right, if your eyes were closed, you can open them. And again, don't be frustrated if it didn't click, if you still are like, I'm not really getting that. Sometimes the best way to understand the impact of diaphragmatic breathing is to do it while doing an exercise and notice the difference. So it's something that I'll incorporate into classes moving forward, at least in some of the exercises. One note, if you weren't really able to feel the rib cage expansion, I want you to try that deep breathing in a flexed position. So your knees would be bent, feet flat, and you would roll forward over your thighs. And then you would do the deep inhales from there. And it'll almost feel like a stretch through your mid-back. You'll really be able to feel the rib cage expanding that way. Okay, so we've gone over the first 2 points: lifestyle, daily habit change, diaphragmatic breathing. And now let's go into the big one that is really the focus of this class, which is improving posture through exercise. And that doesn't just mean strengthening the muscles that need strengthening. It also means relaxing or stretching the muscles that are tight and overworked, and focused on mobility through joints that might be a little sticky. So let's say I'm working with a client and they have that kyphosis, that rounded back forward neck position. What would I work on with them? First up, we would work on strengthening the spinal extensors. Those are the muscles that bring the thoracic spine back to a more neutral position. A great way to do that is through prone work, which I talked about, how much I hated it for so long. It's growing on me. So that's laying on your stomach and focusing on lifting and lowering in various different ways on spinal extension. Now, something that can make this type of work doubly tough, aside from maybe having weak spinal extensors, is that your chest might be tight or your shoulders might lack mobility, and that might hinder your performance in the exercise. Not a bad thing, we would just want to work around that. So for someone who is super tight through the shoulders and chest, I might even have you, instead of doing prone work, doing work in a hinged position. So it would be the same movements, but you don't have the floor right there. So it allows for a little grace. So that's an option. Also, I would encourage you to work on opening up through the chest, and that can be with stretching. Now, a note about stretching: before a workout, focus more on mobility. And then after the workout is when you can do static stretches. You don't want to do a static stretch if your body is cold. So when we get to the workout portion of this class, we will finish up with some really good stretches that I love for opening the chest. Now, we're keeping equipment minimal today, but let me show you another awesome one you can do for chest opening if you have a foam roller. Now, I just have this little dinky one, but if you have one of the long foam rollers, lay it lengthwise. And then you're gonna lay your spine on it. Ooh, my mic. You're gonna lay your spine on it like this. Just pretend mine goes all the way up, and your head should be supported on the foam roller as well. Then from there, you flip your palms up so you're in this really open position across the chest, and you make almost snow angel motions with the arms, sweeping them up, trying to keep the backs of the hands on the floor. And then when you hit a sticky point, you would just stay and hold the stretch for a little bit. So that is one of my favorites if you have a long foam roller for relaxing the pecs and opening up through the chest. And so I've been talking about spinal extension a lot, but it's also worth noting that just working to maintain your spine in a neutral position is beneficial. Because think about it, if your natural posture is to be flexed, then simply coming to neutral is great. And so in that sense, almost all the classes I post to YouTube and Patreon, they are great for working on posture because we are maintaining neutral for so much of it. If you want a big challenge for that, I would recommend the workouts that they're mostly lower body focused, where we use heavier weights. Holding any weight at your chest or in front of you or even racked on your shoulders is an added challenge to maintaining neutral and preventing your body from rolling forward. So even if a class isn't labeled for posture, it can benefit posture. So we've talked about strengthening spinal extensors, stabilizing the spine in neutral. Now let's talk a little bit about head and neck placement. And we're going to do a little exercise, which is great for anyone who is at a computer all day or just has that forward head position, which I certainly do. So this is going to feel a little weird. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. You can be seated or kneeling for this, doesn't matter. So start in just a relaxed position, and I want you to bring your hand to the bottom of your chin. Now what we're going to do is we're going to slide the head back, but let's talk about it. You're not going to tilt the chin down or up. You're going to picture your chin is rested on a flat surface, and the whole head is going to slide back. And as a cue, we're going to actually push the chin back with this hand to help it out, okay? So start relaxed, hand to chin, and then just slide the head back, pressing the chin. You probably just gave yourself a double chin. In fact, if you didn't give yourself a double chin, you're doing it wrong. Relax. Let's do that again. Gentle press back, double chin. Relax it forward. One more time. Slide the head back. And just hold it, release your hand. So it probably feels really foreign. That is because muscles in the neck that are weak because of this forward neck posture are now being recruited. Now, do I expect you to walk around all day like this with your 18 chins because you're driving your chin back? No, of course not. It's just an exercise to get you to feel what muscles should be working a little harder and trying to get us to relax the muscles that are very tight and overworked. So now let's take that exercise a step farther. I want you to take your hands to the base of your skull. So they're not on your neck, but they're right at the base of the skull where it meets your neck. And without tilting your chin down or up, I want you to think of increasing the length through the back of your neck by just ever so gently pulling up with those hands. So that should feel pretty good. Now from here, it's going to be that same backward sliding motion we just did with the chin, but we're going to press the head into the hands and the hands into the head. So we're not actually going to move the head much at all. So on an exhale, press. Head pressing back into hands, hands pressing gently into the back of your head, trying to get those same muscles to fire, but without giving us that sort of drastic double chin position. And relax. Let's do that one more time. So again, you're thinking gently upward with the hands, and then on an exhale, press your head back like you're trying to do that slide. Hold, and relax it. So this is a little bit of an aside, but I think worth going into. If you are someone with that forward neck position and you are doing core work in which you're laying down on the mat and you're doing ab curls, it's very common to feel a ton of tension in the neck. So what I want you to think of is using your hands for support and doing that same exercise we were just doing kneeling. So you would start with the hands behind your head, and again, it's that lengthening, that subtle lengthening through the back of the neck, and then you would curl up and over from there. That's going to keep your neck in a much better alignment. Also, using a pad can help. So if you have a forward neck position, when you come down onto the mat like this, you're not going to be in neutral. To bring yourself into neutral, you can take a dish towel and fold it. You don't want like a huge pad. You really just want like a dish towel and put it behind your head. And that is going to help bring your head to neutral. And you'll notice a difference. If you're someone with a forward neck position, try it. Without the pad, you'll notice a little tension in your neck, even when the head is resting on the mat. And then when you add that little bit of elevation, it's like instant relief because you've brought the neck into neutral with the rest of your spine. You know, we think of the word modification as meaning to make an exercise easier, but what is its literal definition? It's just to change. So we want to make modifications to accommodate our posture, and this is a great one, okay? It's not cheating, it's going to help you out and put your body into the correct alignment. Okay, moving on. So let's talk about shoulder mobility and stability. Typically, if you are tight through the chest and a little rounded forward, your shoulder mobility is going to be affected. Now, your shoulder blades, your scapula, where are they? They are on your back. And this kind of goes back to our initial observation of the rounded thoracic spine. We need to work on strengthening our upper back. So your scapula are kind of these free gliding bones on your back, and they're attached by this muscle called the serratus. So there are 6 different movements your scapula can do. They can retract in towards each other. They can protract sliding wide. They can elevate like a shoulder shrug. They can depress sliding down. They can upwardly rotate, and they could downwardly rotate. And I realize my top is probably affecting you being able to see that, but you get the idea. So we want to work on stabilization through the scapula. And when we do a lot of arm exercises, we want to be mindful that the arm exercise is really initiating from our back because that is where the shoulder blades live. Reverse tabletop exercises are a great example of combining chest opening with this idea of shoulder mobility and, most importantly, stability. And we will finish our workout today with some of that. Now, one final thing before we do get to that workout that I want to mention is mobility of the thoracic spine, your mid-back. And this goes with any posture, not just the rounded thoracic and forward head. If you are staying in the same position for long periods of time for the majority of your day, things start to kind of freeze up. And we don't want that. We want to be able to move our spine to its fullest capacity. So I recommend for any postural improvement, mobility work that focuses on rotation, lateral flexion, extension, flexion, all the different movements so that our body can really live up to its potential. So I just gave you a huge dump of information. Let's put it to use. We're going to move into the workout portion of this workshop. So again, you do not need that. You need a set of light weights and you need a dish towel. We're going to start in a comfortable seated position with some breath work that'll bring us into some mobility work. We're not going to stay on this too long because I know that we already did this breathing exercise earlier. Sitting up tall, broadness across your collarbones. Close your eyes if you'd like to. We're going to inhale slowly and deeply through the nose, expanding through the rib cage, east to west. And we exhale out gently through pursed lips. Ribs move gently in and down, a gentle bracing through the abdominal wall. Again, inhale. One more time. Opening the eyes, we're going to come into some mobility drills for the neck. I'm going to start by bringing your right ear down towards your right shoulder. Don't jam it down, don't force it. Bring it back up. And then I want you to turn over your right shoulder. Come back through center. So it's a tilt, ear towards shoulder. Come back up. Then you're just going to look over that right shoulder. Twice more, this side. Again, it's a gentle movement, don't force it. Last time, this side, tilt, and twist. Let's take it over to the left. Left ear towards the shoulder. Come upright, and you're just going to look over that left shoulder. The movement is only as big as you can make it without compensating by moving other parts of your body. So the shoulders aren't involved. Try to relax them. Last time. Come through center, and then we're just going to make it fluid with the tilt. So I want right ear towards right shoulder, up and over, left ear towards left shoulder. Moving side to side. Trying to relieve some tension in the neck and just get it moving before we jump in. Come up through neutral, and then same thing with the twist. So you look over the right shoulder, come through center. Look over the left shoulder. And if it's making you dizzy, just close your eyes. Last time. Come through center and open your eyes. And now we're going to tent the fingertips out wide. We're going to come into lateral flexion. I want you to take your right arm, sweep it up and over, side bending. And then staying within this side bend, we're going to rotate. So on an exhale, you're going to rotate chest towards the mat. And you're going to inhale, come through the side bend, maybe a slight shift up. Again, exhale, twist down. Twist up, come into the side bend, then let's take it up and over to the left. So that left arm is going to sweep up, side bend, or I should say side bend over to the right, left arm sweeps up. And then within that side bend, let's find some rotation. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale. Last time. Come through the side bend, come up, and then I want you to reach your arms out to the sides. From here, we are going to come into a twist over to the right, and then you're just going to hold it. So exhale, twist to the right, hold. Take your left hand, bring it to the outside of that right knee, and then I want you to trace circles with your back right arm. I'm bending the elbow so that I don't hit my couch, but you could do a straight arm as well. We're sitting up nice and tall, trying to increase the space between our vertebrae. So we're mobilizing through the shoulder here, switch direction of your circle. And we are also in this warm-up working the spine and all those movements that we talked about, twisting, flexing, extending. Extend back out through the arms, come through center, and let's twist over to the other side. Right hand to the outside of your left knee, and let's trace circles with that back left arm. Switch direction of the circle. Straightening out through the arms, come back through center, and then we're going to come into a tabletop position. So we're going to come into a cat-cow variation. We're going to articulate through the spine when we do it. So to start, on an exhale, first just find your cow pose or your cat pose. So exhale, round the spine up towards the ceiling. Stay for an inhale. Feel that expansion through the back of your rib cage. Again, always coming back to that deep diaphragmatic breathing. And now as you exhale, we're going to come into extension. Start with your tailbone. So your tailbone untucks. It starts to reach long, moving through lower, middle, upper spine, coming through neutral, find a little bit of extension. Now, as you exhale, let's do that same thing. Start by tucking the tailbone, round through the middle, upper spine, coming back into that cat stretch. Stay for a deep breath in. As you exhale, articulate from tailbone to head, bringing the spine through neutral, finding a little bit of extension. Exhale. Tailbone gently tucks, roll through the spine, stay for an inhale, and then one last time, start to roll out through the tailbone, this time just coming into a long neutral position. From here, make sure you've really spread out through the fingers. You're going to tuck your toes under, and you're going to lift your knees up into a 1-inch hover. So now, whoop, your core is active here. We're going to start to retract and protract those shoulder blades. Now, if this is a little too intense, I want you to drop the knees down, and I want you to do that retraction and protraction from a more stable position with the knees on the mat. Otherwise, hovering and just sliding the shoulder blades in towards each other and then wide, trying to maintain the neutral curves of your spine as you do this. 3 more. Last time. And knees come down, untuck your toes. We're going to come all the way up to a tall kneeling position with the arms up overhead. We're going to come into a hip hinge, and as you hinge the hips, we're going to sweep the arms back behind us, opening up across the chest. Coming up nice and tall. Don't lose connection to the rib cage at the top. So we're not flaring open. So that might mean you don't bring the arms up all the way overhead. Totally depends on your shoulder mobility. Now coming up, we're going to hold in the hinge position and we're going to go back into some arm movements, trying to really establish this connection to our mid-back. So next time you hinge back, hold, and then I want you to bring your arms forward at a slight angle. We're going to come into a little combination, and your goal throughout this is to maintain the neutral curves of your spine, stay long through your neck, and keep it still, okay? So this is the combo. Elbows bend, it's a wide row. And then from here, you're going to rotate open, forearms and palms towards the mat. Rotate closed, extend the arms down at that angle. So you row, there's that retraction of the shoulder blades. Rotate open, don't flare open through the ribs. Close it down and extend. Keep that going. So what tends to happen if we are overactive through our neck muscles, and we have that forward head position, is sometimes when we engage the back muscles to do arm work, what does the head want to do? It wants to jut forward. So we're trying to maintain that length through the back of the neck. One more here. Arms extend out at that angle. Now flip the palms in towards each other and let's take it into a reverse fly. So now the arms open up and close back in. Arms making kind of a big circle shape. Again, the movement is initiated by that retraction of the shoulder blades. Remember, arm moves start with the back, or most of them anyway. Length through the back of your neck. 3 more. Last time. And you're going to come upright and find your light hand weights. We just need one single weight to start, and I want you to mirror me. So your right hand is going to be on the mat. We're sitting on the side of our right hip. Knees are bent. The weight is going to be in your left hand. Now you want this right hand to be out in front of you a little bit, and the hand and the knees are pretty much in line with each other because we will eventually lift the hips up. Spread out through those right fingers, and before you do anything, I want us to focus on stabilizing through the shoulder. So I want you to try to move your rib cage away from your hand by activating through the lats. So you notice that difference. Push the mat away, engage through the side body. Now from here, the weight is going to start by your side, and I just want you to sweep it up and lower it down. I'm doing this with my palm facing up because it is a rotation that feels best for my shoulder. If you want to do it with the palm facing forward, that is another option. Doesn't matter too much right here. So this first little series with the hand weights, we are focused on shoulder stability and also this idea of movement of the arms originating with our scapula in our back. Now we're going to add a movement of the hips coming up. As the arm sweeps up overhead, the hips will lift. In 3. Last 2, we keep our knees down. Last time, hand down by your hips. Now on an exhale, hips lift up, arms reach overhead into this modified side plank, lower the hips, arm lowers. Exhale, again, push the mat away, engage through the side body, and lower. We want to make sure the hips are staying stacked one on top of the other, so you might need to slightly pull that top left hip forward. 3 more and we hold. Now next time up, hold. I just got to scoot. My leggings are slippery. I want you to bring your arm up towards the ceiling. Make sure your hips are stacked. And now holding the hips up, I want you to lower the arm, palms towards the floor, bringing the arm parallel to the floor, and then open it back up. So we close and we open up. When you open up, don't lose connection to your ribs so you can still see that weight in your peripheral vision. Now coming up, we're going to lower onto our forearm on this right side, and we're going to come into a full side plank position to finish up this series. Next time you reach that arm up overhead, hold it up overhead, lower your hips, come down to your right forearm, extend your legs out, get ready for a full plank. Feet stacked is going to be hardest. Feet staggered is your modification. Now it's a little combo. On an exhale, you press the mat away, stabilize through that bottom shoulder. You lift your hips up into a side plank. You lower the arm. You lift it up to the ceiling, and then hips resist back down. Exhale to the side plank. Lower. Lift. Hips resist down. We are not sinking into the bottom shoulder. We're working to stabilize through the joint. Two more. Last time. And just hold. You're broad across the collarbones, hips are stacked. So again, you might need to pull that left hip forward a bit. Hold for 3, for 2, and 1. Hips lower down, bend the knees, and let's just take a quick counter stretch so that right arm can sweep up and over. So we're gonna do that same thing on the other side. So let's flip our knees around. Weight goes in your right hand, left hand is on the mat. It's a little in front of your shoulder. The knees and the wrist are pretty much in line with each other. To start, the hips are going to stay down. Spread out through your fingers on that left side. Press the mat away. You're active and stable through the shoulder. And now from here, let's start by just sweeping that top arm up overhead and lowering it. We have that combo coming up next, or we'll just put it together with a hip lift. 2 more. Last time. Now with your arm down at your sides, now as you exhale and sweep the arm overhead, hips pick up into that modified side plank. Sweep it down and lower. Exhale, push the mat away, engage through the lats, hips lift up, arm sweeps, and lower it down. We have our hold at the top coming up. Next time you come up, you're going to hold. Hold at the top, arm to the ceiling, flip your palm to face forward, make sure your hips are stacked. And then from here, you are lowering that arm parallel to the floor and opening up. Now, as that weight lowers to the floor, notice if the shoulder wants to roll forward. Do not let it. So you're broad across the collarbone, shoulders stay stacked. Final piece of this is coming up. We'll lower to that forearm on our left side. 2 more. Last time. Hold that arm up towards the ceiling. Lower your hips. Left forearm comes down. Straighten out your legs. Stacked is hardest. Staggered, modified. Keep your bottom knee down to modify further. All right, really press that mat away. On an exhale, you're going to lift the hips into your side plank. That top arm lowers just like we were doing. Lift it open. Hips come down. Keep that going. Three more. Last time. And just hold. Hips are stacked. Here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hips come down, bend the knees. Heard my voice crack there at the end. That was tough. Take that counter stretch, sweeping the arm up and over. Now, last little piece with the weights, we're going to use both of them. And I want you to start kneeling and up tall. Palms are going to face behind you. Gentle squeeze through the glutes so we're open through those hip flexors. And then from here, I just want you to press the arms back and forward. Now, we've talked about this before. As you press back, you do not counter that press back with a forward jut of your neck. That in itself is great practice for improving posture. Because what happens is the muscles in your neck that are overactive from being in this position all day try to kick in when they're not supposed to. You know, think about it. You do not need to move your neck in order to achieve this motion of your arms. So hold the neck still. All right, now press the arms back. Holding them back, I want you to flip the palms forward and then flip the palms back. Now remember, we did this exercise in the workshop, the lecture portion of this, if you can call that a lecture, a mad rambling perhaps. So the flip is coming from the shoulder joint, remember? So initiate it with your shoulders and the palms flip. But unlike that exercise, we don't want to let the shoulders roll completely forward. Now hold with your palms facing up towards the ceiling. Now I want you to hinge the hips back, long neutral spine, and let's go into that same motion starting from the top. We lower the hands, we press them long. So now that connection to our mid and upper back is all the more important because we are in this hinged position. It's the same movement, but we got to fight against gravity a little harder. Length through the back of your neck. Hold the arms back. Let's go into that flipping motion. Broad across the collarbones, not letting the shoulders roll forward. Don't lose connection to your rib cage. We're going through those two movements one final time. Pause with your palms facing up. You lower the arms, you press them back. One more time, I want you to hold them up and just flip. Last 4, last 3, 2, and 1. Come upright through the torso, roll out those shoulders for a second. We have one more little hinge combo to get through with the weights and then we're done with them. And these are movements we did in our warm-up. So slide those hips back, find your hinge position, arms are reached forward at a slight angle. We're gonna do that row to rotation open combo. So the elbows draw back wide. You rotate open. Close the rotation, extend the arms forward. Keep that going. Wide row. Initiate it with the retraction of your shoulder blades. Rotate open and closed, back down. Now this time you are going to hold the row and it is just that rotation. Open and down. Two more. Last time. Straighten those arms, palms rotate in towards each other. Let's go into a reverse fly, opening the arms and closing. Again, it initiates with that retraction of the shoulder blades. We are not changing the shape of our spine as we do this. Use your breath to stay connected to your abdominals so that you don't sink into that lumbar spine. So I want you to start the exhale. You feel that inner abdomen wall engage, and then the arms start to move wide. Last time. Meet me with your arms straight, flip the palms towards you, row those elbows back. Let's do that rotation. Open and closed. Open and closed. Last time. Straighten the arms, palms face in towards each other. Go to your fly. Going to go through those one final time. Arms are straight, palms towards you. Row those elbows back, rotate open, close it down. Almost done with your weights. Hopefully you're feeling nice and active through those shoulders and arms connected to your mid-back. Last time. Straighten those arms, palms face in, we fly. Three more. Last time. And ditch those weights. Place them off the mat. We do not need them. Now we're going to come onto our back for a little more core activation before we flip onto our stomachs. I want to make sure that we're connected into our abdominals before we flip around. Otherwise, all that work is going to go into our low back, and we don't want that. So for anyone who has that forward head position, this is a good opportunity to use your dish towel as a little bit of padding to bring that neck into a more neutral alignment. We're going to keep our neck down the whole time because I want it relaxed. Arms down by your side, neutral through the spine, and then just bring your legs one at a time up to tabletop and flex the feet. Now on an exhale, you're going to press your right leg forward. And on an inhale, you bring it back. So very simple. Exhale. Extend it forward and in. So again, as you exhale, we're thinking a widening of the abdominal wall, a bracing of the wall, not a sucking in. You're not trying to pull your navel towards your spine. 2 more. Last time. Take it over to the left. On an exhale, left leg extends. It doesn't have to be super low, okay? Because I want you to maintain neutral through that low back. And this core work we're doing in this quick section, is it the hardest, most strenuous core work you can do ever? No, maybe not, but it's important. Now, next time you press that left leg out, hold it extended, and let's go back to the right leg moving on an exhale. Right leg goes out to meet the left. On an inhale, it comes in. Left leg doesn't move. So longer lever, more weight out extended, making this a little harder. Sometimes it's the simple moves that may not look like much that are the hardest to do correctly. Can we link this movement with our breath, connecting into those deep abdominals? It's easier said than done. Last time, bring it in. Now your right leg goes long and stays long. Left knee draws in. On an exhale, extend the left to meet the right. And again, look, my legs are high. They are not low down by the floor. Does not need to be super low. If it's too low, your glutes are going to kick in, and that's not really the focus here. Now check in on your shoulders. Can you open up across those collarbones for me? Can you relax your jaw a little bit? 2 more. And this next time out, you're just going to hold both legs at that hover. Can you drop them just 1 inch? And you can really press your arms into the floor. You can use them for support. Breathe. You're here for 4, for 3, for 2, and 1. Hug the knees in towards your chest. You can give yourself a little rock side to side. Now we're going to come into a prone position, and you are going to need your towel. I want it long, and just have it at the top of your mat. You won't need it right away. So this is where we really get into strengthening our spinal extensors, which is so important. Now I want you to keep that connection we just built to our abdominals into this position. So find neutral spine. You're not pressing your stomach into the mat and arching your back. You're trying to maintain that protected neutral. So we're going to start in a pretty supported position. I want your elbows bent. The palms are kind of outside of your shoulders, shoulder distance apart, and we're going to keep the forearms down. Your legs can be about hips distance apart, neutral through the spine, and then I want you to open up across those collarbones. You have that sensation of length through the back of your neck. On an inhale, we're going to come into spinal extension. So from the mid-back up, you come into that long, low hover. Gaze shifts forward, but it's still down on the mat. We're not craning our neck. As you exhale, you're going to lower. Nose taps the mat. Inhale, extension. Keep this going. Now, if it helps you stay connected to your abdominal wall and to not sink into the lumbar spine, you could try exhaling as you lift up and inhaling as you lower. So play around and find the breath pattern that works best for your body. Now let's add on to this. Inhale, find extension. Exhale, stay extended, and I want you to hover your forearms an inch off of the floor. Exhale, lower them back down, and then nose to the mat. So I messed up that breath pattern, but inhale, find extension. Exhale, hover the arms. Inhale, lower the arms. Exhale, lower the torso. Keep that going. One more time. Now I want everything to lift at once. So on an inhale, whole upper body along with your arms comes to that extension. Keep the elbows bent, and then exhale, lower it down to a hover. Check in. Are you still long through the back of your neck? Two more. Last time. And now with your nose still hovering over the mat, I want you to straighten your arms out to the side in a T shape. Now we're going to keep our nose lightly tapping the mat, and all I want you to do is lift and lower those arms like little bird wings. Lift and lower, maintaining neutral through that low back. So we're not doing the spinal extension, but you should feel that mid-back working here to lift your arms. This is a great example of our arms, the movement of our arms originating with that scapula attached to our mid-back. Get ready to hold those arms at a hover in 3, in 2, and 1. Hold those arms at a hover. Now from here, I want you to sweep them up overhead and then sweep them back to that T shape. So this is where shoulder mobility may really limit your range of motion, and that is okay. Now, if this is unbearable, it's not doable right now, that is also okay. I want you to come to a kneeling hinged position and do the movement from there. Now, next time you sweep those arms up overhead, I want you to hold them overhead. Lower them, and then lift them. Woo, that's tough. Lower, lift them. It might be half of an inch. They might barely leave the mat. That is okay. Four more. Next time you lift those arms, hold them. Go back to the sweep. Out to the T, overhead. You can do it. Keep breathing. Stay connected to your core. Next time you sweep your arms back, I want you to reach them out into the T. We finished just how we started. Lower and lift those arms. You're broad across those collarbones. There's a bracing through the abdominal wall. Length through the back of the neck. Give me 4 more. Give me 3. Give me 2. Last one. Bring your hands in and press yourself back into a shell stretch, which is like a child's pose, but we stay active through the abdominals and really rounded. So give your spine some flexion after that bit of extension. All right, so we have one more set in a prone position that is going to put those two together. So in the first set, we really focused on that idea of extension. On the second set, we added and are really focused on that shoulder mobility. Now let's do it together. So first things first, you're going to grab the ends of the towel and you're going to pull out on it. So that towel is going to stay tight the whole time. By pulling out on the towel, hopefully you feel your side body, your lats, that area kind of under your armpits, activate and sort of kick in, and that's going to help stabilize the shoulders. All right, so to start, just like we did in the previous one, nose is lightly touching the mat, and just keep it there, neutral through the pelvis, and we're going to lift and lower those arms, pulling out on the towel. It does not need to be a big lift. It might be an inch. It might be a centimeter. Coming up, we're going to add in spinal extension with it. So as the arms lift up, that upper spine will lift in 3, in 2, and 1, everything together. Come into that spinal extension, arms lift. Exhale, lower everything down on the mat. Think long through the back of your neck. Stay neutral through the pelvis. Again, if it helps you stay neutral through the pelvis, try exhaling as you lift up and inhaling as you lower. It's a little trick to help you connect to the core. Next time up, you're gonna hold at the top. Now from here, I want you to bend the elbows, pull the towel in towards your chest, and then extend it forward. Pull the towel in. Inhale, arms overhead. We're gonna go through that just one more time. And then you are done with your prone work. You can do it. Arms are gonna extend out. Everything is gonna lower. In 2 and 1. Lower everything down to the mat, keeping your nose touching it, just the arms. We're gonna add in that extension. In 3, pull out on the towel, 2 and 1. Arms lift, back lifts. Lower it back down. It is not a high shape, it is a long shape. We're going to hold this next one. Hold the extension, elbows bend in and extend out. Pull them in, extend them out to that hover. Five more. Extend those arms out and just hold. You're here for 4. Pull out on the band or towel. 3, 2, 1. Lower everything down. Let's counter that extension with another shell stretch, rounding through the spine. Okay, we have one final section before we cool down, and we're going to kind of put together the themes we've been talking about. So the opening of the chest, the connection to our mid-back, the stability and mobility within the shoulder joint. It's going to be a little reverse tabletop series, but we'll mix it in with just some seated upright movement. So I want you to come to a position where you're upright and you're not tucking under through your tailbone. So if you're very tight through the hips, you might need to come into a cross-legged position for this first part, but otherwise I want feet flat, knees bent. Now sitting up tall, arms are wide, palms face behind you. You've seen this movement before. Just press back, opening through the chest. So just this act of sitting upright and tall while our knees are bent like this and our arms move back, that in itself is a huge challenge, especially if you spend most of your day hunched over technology, like a lot of us do, myself included. So coming up, your palms are going to plant on the mat, fingers pointing forward. Press for 3, open for 2. Last one. So spread out through your fingers, plant your palms down. First step, press the mat away. You're broad across the collarbones, but then connect into your abdominals so the ribs aren't flaring open. Press down through your feet, and on an exhale, we're going to lift our hips up into a reverse tabletop. As you inhale, you're going to lower the hips down. Now we're going to try not to lock out through the elbows. So there's this little invisible softness to them. Keep this going. Exhale. So as those hips lift up, you're driving the feet down into the mat, firing through the glutes, and you're fighting so hard to stay open through the shoulders. What's going to want to happen if you're tight through there is the shoulders are going to want to roll forward. Can you keep them open? So we're constantly thinking broadness across the collarbones. Now my gaze is forward, so I am maintaining some flexion through my neck on this. 2 more. And this last one, we hold at the top. Fire into the glutes. Press the floor away. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Lower back down. We sit upright, palms face behind us. Press those arms back. We're not holding weights. This isn't super hard for our arms. It's more about maintaining the posture through our spine. Neutral through the pelvis. Now we're going to do another set of those reverse tabletops. So get ready to plant down through your hands in 3, in 2, and 1. Spread out through the fingers, plant your palms, open across the chest, Spread out through the toes, drive your feet into the floor. On an exhale, hips lift up. On an inhale, you lower. Now, when you're at the top of this reverse tabletop, your knees shouldn't be out way farther than your toes. You want them pretty much over your heels. So you might have to walk your feet forward a little bit. 3 more. And we hold this one at the top. You're unlocked through the elbows, broad across the collarbones. Press the floor away with your feet and hands for 3, 2, 1. We lower those hips down, and one final time we come upright through the spine and a little opening. So this also just gives our wrist a chance to recover. We have one more set of those reverse tabletops, and then we cool it down. Plant the hands in 3, in 2, and 1. Let's do it. Final set. Spread out through those hands, broad across the collarbones, open across your chest. Gentle engagement through the rib cage so it doesn't flare open. On an exhale, the hips lift. On an inhale, they lower. Three more. Last time, hold it at the top. Open up through the chest. Press down through the feet. You're here for 3, for 2, and 1. Lower the hips down. I want you to straighten your legs out. I want you to reach the arms forward, and we're just going to come into a couple Pilates roll-ups here. On an exhale, start to roll your pelvis away from your thighs, and vertebrae by vertebrae, you're going to come all the way down to the mat. Arms come overhead. Inhale, arms start to sweep up. As you exhale, gentle nod of the chin, vertebrae by vertebrae, coming up and over those legs. Inhale, start to roll it back, pelvis away from thighs, lower, middle, upper spine, arms come overhead. Inhale, arms start to lift up. Exhale, nod the chin, vertebrae by vertebrae, peel up and over. If you're tight through the hamstrings, you can add a little bend to your knees as you do this, and then roll it back last time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, nod the chin, start to roll up and over the legs, and then just hold here and fold down for a second. So arms can come to your shins or your feet, whatever is comfortable, and just hold. Rolling up to seated when you're ready. Let's come down to our stomachs. So this is one of my favorite stretches for opening up through the chest. I want you to reach your right arm out in a T shape, and then I want you to tense your left fingertips with the elbow pointing up to the ceiling. And then we're going to take that left foot and we're going to kick it up and over, coming into a twist, but you feel that big opening through your right shoulder. We're going to stay here for can't talk, stay here for a few breaths. When you're ready, we're going to roll through center, same thing other side. Left arm reaches out long, tense your right fingertips, and then kick that right foot up and over. Bringing yourself back through center. Use your hands to press yourself back into another one of those shell stretches that I talked about. So it's like a child's pose, but your abdominals are engaged and you stay very rounded through the spine. Stay here for a breath, feeling that expansion through the back of your rib cage. And then on your next exhale, just melt your chest down, coming into a normal child's pose, and just release here. Coming through tabletop, I want you to tuck your toes under, lift the hips up towards down dog, and then walk your hands in towards your feet, coming into a forward fold. So we're going to hang out in this forward fold for a little bit to help release the neck. So to start, I want you to just nod it yes, and then shake it no, and do that a few times. Add as much of a bend to the knees as needed. And then from here, I want you to interlace your fingers at the base of the skull. So that same position we had during the first portion of this workshop where we were playing around with that lengthening sensation, pulling on the neck. Pulling on the neck is the wrong problem, but gently applying some added weight. And from here, I just want you to relax and let everything hang. The weight of your arms, giving that neck a nice release. This can be very intense, and if it isn't too intense, I want you to take a rag doll instead, just grabbing opposite elbow with opposite hand. With every inhale, think of directing the breath into that upper cervical spine. And with every exhale, release. When you're ready, you're going to release your hands. Let's roll up slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae. You can stay standing, but I'm just going to sit down so that you can see me. We're going to finish with one deep breath together. As you inhale, you're going to sweep the arms up overhead. And as you exhale, release. All right, and you are done for the day. I hope you enjoyed this workshop, both the talking part of it and the workout part of it. This is the first time I've done a format like this, so I would love your feedback, things you liked, things you would want to see changed if I did another one. All sorts of feedback is welcome. And hopefully you learned something here today that you can apply to not just posture workouts, but to all the classes that you do on Patreon and YouTube. Okay, I'll see you guys next time.